work at Growth Engineering. I just heard about the new Aristotle AI project and I'm very excited. Had a few questions, so I hopped on a call here with Juliette. Hi Juliette, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, very happy to answer your questions if I can help. I mean, obviously, the project is very blue sky at the moment, so
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to work, but it's always really good to hear what people are thinking about the project as we move forward. So yeah, very happy to answer your questions, Abby.
So I was just wondering, how did you come up with the idea then?
Really good question. So, and also not particularly exciting, I don't think. So I am quite convinced that, you know, good ideas don't necessarily, anyway, in my head, they don't just suddenly appear. It's almost like the experience of working in the industry over a very, very long period of time. So, you know, as you know, I started growth engineering about 20 years ago, so a long time ago. And during that time, I've been lucky enough to work with some absolutely fantastic clients, but also, you know, work with the British Standards Institute. You know, we also worked very closely with the Institute of Sales and Marketing Management, with the Institute of Leadership, with City and Guilds. We also worked, did a project for time, looking at whether growth engineering should actually become an awarding body. And so, you know, I think it's all of this kind of information, you know, that basically I've been involved with over the period of my career. And one of the things that I think is really interesting about the Aristotle AI idea is that these organizations produce fantastic work. And with the arrival of AI technology, what we can do is we can begin to kind of digitize the good work that they're doing and push that out to, you know, to more corporates and more learners. So for me, the opportunity is, it's not so much the idea, it's the fact that for the first time, with the arrival of AI, you know, better microchips, we're able to search through this kind of huge, you know, areas of data and basically allow learners to, you know, really understand, you know, what the road, you know, looks like in terms of their, you know, professional development. So yeah, I mean, the idea obviously is helped by the fact that we've got this fantastic technology, and there are lots of great companies like AWS, for example, you know, that are helping us, you know, bring this project to life. So I think it's very much the idea, as well as, you know, the time is right for the idea. So yeah.
And how do you feel that the merge between LMS and AI software is going to be? Like, do you feel like there's going to be a lot of, do you think it's going to be a difficult merge, or do you feel like it's meant to be? Because obviously AI has been used in a lot of other ways, but I haven't seen it been used in education that much.
So I think this is a really, really interesting area. And I think one of the things that we're seeing in AI at the moment is that it's kind of like a glorified search engine. You know, basically what happens is the individual comes up with the question or the prompt, and then basically the AI searches for the information and brings back the information. Now, a couple of things that are very, very different in the world of education. First of all, we have learning objectives, learning outcome. So we know what we want the learner to be able to access, and the quality of that content needs to be verified by credits, you know, if you're wanting to get some sort of, you know, qualification. So one of the things that is very different in the world of L&D than, you know, a broader area of AI is that, you know, we have very clear guidelines about what is acceptable, you know, information that we want our learners to have, and what is not acceptable information. And so the world of information within the, you know, Aristotle AI needs to be selected by either the corporate or you know, mandated, you know, by the corporate. So that's one area that I think is going to be very interesting, because I think we will see a mass efficiency in content requirements, because using metadata, we can search content that is already available to the organization. And basically through that, we should find that, you know, we're able to reduce, you know, the budgets necessary to create new content. But the other thing I think we can do with Aristotle AI and the prompts is we can start learning as a conversation rather than a linear approach. So, you know, typically what's happened before is that learning is very content focused. What we want to do is we want to move that to be more learner focused. So the way Aristotle AI will interact is through with the learner, an ongoing conversation, little and often with the learner, in order to allow the learner to discover, to discuss, to enter dialogue, and then also to debate about how they're going to put that learning into their real world job. So we're trying to do two things. We're trying to ensure that the learner has a very clear idea of why and what they are going to be learning and the value it will bring to their role. And we're also trying to change the paradigm and the pedagogy of actual the learning process for the learner. So yeah, bold plans, but that's the idea.
Right. And a lot of people might say that AI is too new and not reliable enough for information. What would you say to that?
I think there's two different things. There's with AI, the way I see it, with my very simplified brain, is that you've got the machine learning algorithm, right, which sifts through the data, and then you've got, you know, the data pool, all the data going into the machine learning algorithm. I think it very much depends on what the quality of the information is, and you know, we are lucky enough to be in an industry where the standards of quality are absolutely the highest. We all know that, you know, the British education system in terms of vocational standards is extremely high, and so we have these fantastic, you know, government-backed organizations that have invested in this structure, which is used worldwide in terms of, you know, standards, mapping standards, and then mapping those standards against awarding body qualifications and certifications. So I think the information that we've got going into, you know, the data that we've got going into the model, we can ensure is of the highest quality. And so what should come out should be only, you know, the information that's been verified, you know, through decades of working with, you know, these educational institutions.
Yeah,
it's a great question. It's a great question.
And where do you see the next 12 months for Aristotle AI going?
Again, a great question, Xavier. So basically, we're doing this in a kind of waterfall type scenario. So we've got the first cohort of companies and collaborators for stage one. So in stage one, we obviously can't take on the whole world of qualifications at this point. So through discussions with our early collaborators, our POC partners, which you're going to meet in the next couple of days, we're going to be videoing them. We've decided that we're going to go down the leadership, supervisory, management type area of qualifications. And why? Because quite simply, whether you're working for an energy company, you know, everybody needs you know, supervisory management training. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be partnering with the British Standards and also with the Institute of Leadership, and who you will meet next week, and we're going to be using their framework to roll out a POC into some of our client partners. So we are aiming to start the development work on that, you know, mid to the end of February. That POC, in terms of coding it up, will run for about 6 weeks. And then what we will be looking to do is, you know, through single sign-on, allow access to Aristotle AI on our academic element. So that will be the first POC. So, and then after that, what we're hoping to do is obviously make the source code, you know, open source, so that, you know, any other learning platforms can actually use the microservice and bolt that into their learning environment.
Right. And two more questions. How do you see gamification and AI merging together? Because obviously a big part of growth engineering was gamification. How do you see these two ideas coming together? Do you feel like you could use this in,
So, Xavier, you are really coming out with some absolutely fantastic questions now. So this is really interesting. Okay, so when I have been talking to our POC clients, our proof of concept clients that are coming in to basically use this model once we've developed it. One of the things that they've said is Juliette, what we know about growth engineering products is that they're very gamified, and we've selected you and we've been working with you for the last decade or whatever, because you have very gamified solutions. So how is Aristotle AI going to have gaming mechanics attached to it? And what I would say to you is that the first POC is really about getting that customized learning development path for the learner. And so it will be quite chat or virtual assistant type, based. So it will look like basically a list of things that you have agreed to do, and that those learning assets have been put into your learning pathway on the LMS. And so the gamification elements will be after you've completed the content. However, ongoing in POC 2 and POC 3, we would obviously want to get feedback from our learners to ensure that the process of discussion and discovery with Aristotle AI is gamified. It's very much part of what we want to do. But for POC 1, we're just trying to see if we can get the algorithm to work with the data that we've got.
Right. And last question, what would you say the mission statement is for AristotleAI AI?
Well, you're challenging me now. Okay, so so far, one of the things I think that has driven this project is making people curious about their development. So what we want is we want to kind of unleash the power of possibility for individuals working in corporates. We truly believe, and this is obviously through discussion with our existing clients, that large corporates try very hard to upskill people, and often some of that value is not realized because it's not well understood. And so what we want to do with this project is really allow learners within large corporates to see the learning that is available to them, and to see how that learning can help them in their future career, because it is mapped against a clear vocational framework, and they can see the credits that they are building up. And I think the other thing that's really important is we often don't realize how much learning we get on the job. And so one of the things that we want to do with Aristotle AI is to ensure that even the informal learning process is captured, such that vocational qualifications can be built around the flow of work.
Right. Good. Okay. Let me think.
So
how would you see Aristotle AI being as a software? So are we talking about it as a browser add-on? Are we talking about it like it's, what is it? Is it an app? Is it something that's going to be on the LMS software? Is it going to be available on the app? Is it going to be available just as an add-on for your browser? What are we thinking?
So again, a really good question. I keep saying that, but these are all really good questions that need to be asked and need to be answered. The plan at the moment is we are going to get the microservice to work, and the microservice will be made up of an uploader, so the content providers can upload all of their data and metadata into the machine learning algorithm. We will then program the machine learning algorithm with a new pedagogy. And that basically will be a microservice. So what we will do from a growth engineering point of view is we will single sign on to Aristotle AI, the platform as a whole, and it will be the Aristotle AI, the chat widget, if you like, will be available on the dashboard for those learners that have been allowed to have access for POC. And so it will be incredibly light. Probably what we will also do is push that micro service to an app. So for, just ease of basically testing the model, so it doesn't have all the other kind of LMS features, there will probably be a downloadable version of Aristotle in an app form that we would encourage people to play around with and see what development they can actually create for themselves through this POC. So that will probably be free, but moving forward, essentially what it will be hopefully is open source code, which any learning provider will be able to push into their LMS. And as you say, it could be anything as easy as a browser extension, or
And I'm guessing at the first POC, you're just thinking maybe, more simpler, but moving forward, even past the third POC, even moving forward to the actual product coming out, do you feel like it's something that you're going to be able to continuously develop? Because obviously AI is quite new onto the scene and we've not really seen it come on to learn. Do you feel like there's a lot of development that's going to happen, or do you feel like it's quite boxed off?
No, I think absolutely huge. And I think also the input that our client partners can help us with is enormous. I mean, every time I speak to one of our client partners, whether it's on the content side or whether it's on, the large corporate side, I am just absolutely gobsmacked about the passion and the new ideas they bring to the table. So I have no doubt that as this project begins to move forward, the feedback that we get from our clients is just going to make it better and better and better as we move forward. So this is why I'm really excited to offer the project. We'll be doing the project in a really collaborative way. So unlike when we first developed the code base for growth engineering, everything is very open. The idea is that we're very transparent and open about every stage of the project. And if we can do that, we can get, advocates, and we can get people that are interested in helping us make this work. Because truly, I do believe if we can have a different way of trying to engage people with their development that, truly makes them, curious and interested, then we can really unleash a whole wave of efficiency onto the workplace and the country as a whole.
And yeah, talking about being transparent with all of your steps moving forward with the project, obviously there's a lot of competitors in LMS and just in general in software at the moment. It's a very, it's becoming quite a saturated market space for companies, right? So are you not ever worried that maybe you have a competitor trying to steal the idea? Because obviously it's not,
So obviously this has come up a lot, and my thoughts with regards to this is that this project is so important for our industry and for teaching as a whole that if the idea is stolen and coded up by somebody else, to be honest with you, it doesn't make any difference. I think what's really important about this idea is that we fundamentally make a change and an impact on the way people access and think about their learning and development. One of the things that really worries me, and also, just from a point of view of my personal, journey through education, it didn't necessarily work for me very well. I didn't have a great time at school. I really struggled to keep up academically, and I don't think that's because I had an inability to understand the concepts. I'm clearly quite intelligent, quite bright. What I think I struggled with is the pedagogy, i.e. how we learn. Sitting in a classroom, not moving is a problem for me because I like to move around, and I also, I'm curious about things, so I want to put that knowledge into action. And so I think why I am so driven and passionate to see how this project unfolds, and all of the POC partners are as well. They are equally as excited to actually investigate how we could possibly get a new wave of learning into the mainstream that would fundamentally change people's idea of what it means to be educated. Because education is not something we want to do to people. It's something that we want people to be really excited about. So, you know, looking at the world of opportunities out there, and then basically being able to seize those opportunities and learn, complete that, you know, that learning development stream in line with your own personally, the way you want to learn. So, you know, for me, you know, where I like to learn is I like to learn through, have I got a skills gap? Is there a new area of learning that I'm interested in? Right, talk to me about it. Let's discuss it. You know, let's have a dialogue about it, rather than sitting and, if you like, you know, being asked to, you know, take in a huge amount of information and then being tested on it. That doesn't necessarily work for me. And I think, you know, the final point on that is that for large corporates, let's say you're rolling out something like, you know, D&I or diversity and inclusion or sustainability or health and safety. It's not the fact that somebody's ticked a box to say they know it. It's the fact that they're utilizing that information to change what they do in work. And I think a drip process for, you know, learning is much better than a one moment in time. So, you know, talking to a finance client, you know, last night, we were talking about the fact that, you know, often when people are doing anti-money laundering or something like that, they're coming in, it's a moment in time, and then those expected changes, you know, quite simply, you know, don't happen. I mean, clearly, you know, we've still got a problem with, you know, banking fraud, and, you know, so although there's been a lot of money spent on, you know, trying to embed, you know, a lot of compliance training, it hasn't worked. So I think there's a general curiosity in the learning and development industry to say, look, how do we change this? How do we actually, you know, fundamentally get a different approach to corporate learning and development to make a better impact?
Exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, Xavier, look, I just want to say thank you very much for asking these questions, because obviously, as I was saying in the beginning, you know, this is all about, you know, getting the word out in terms of videos. And sometimes you don't ask yourself these questions, and so you don't end up recording them. And
it's easier to ask them from an outsider's perspective, isn't it? So.
Yeah, but, you know, appreciate you taking the time and reaching out and making this happen.